The Malaysian state of Penang is facing a challenge to form a multiracial government in the coming election.
Political analysts say the rising support for Islamist party PAS, which is part of the Perikatan Nasional coalition, is likely to hand it the most or even all of the Malay-based seats.
In the second of the four-part series on Malaysia's state elections, Melissa Goh looks at the rising tide of the Green Wave.
Freedom. Muhammad Fawaz Muhammad Jan was hailed as a rural legend among some village folks in the mainland of Penang. A first-time MP, he was able to defeat Nurul Izzah, daughter of Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, to wrest control of his stronghold of Perikatan Nasional.
Kami ini underdog lah. Saya juga agak terkejut kerana ini merupakan kubu kuat kepada PKR.
A graduate in Islamic studies from an Egyptian university, Fawaz belongs to a new breed of opposition Muslim scholars that have become a headache for Mr. Anwar.
Perikatan Nasional was Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's stronghold since he entered politics in 1982. Now, this family house in Tokon was where he was born 75 years ago. Now, the seat was later held by his wife, Dr. Wan Azizah, when he was incarcerated and put behind bars, and also by his daughter, Nurul Izzah, later on. But in November general election last year, this semi-rural Malay majority constituency was lost to the opposition Perikatan Nasional.
Mr. Anwar has blamed the defeat on the opposition religious and racial-centric political narratives.
Those who are against PAS are the enemies of Allah. This is not just a political narrative. It's dangerous for the country. We have to deal with this. It's not a matter of winning the state elections, but more to save this country from this crazy race and religious bigotry.
The opposition, he said, has been using mosques to spread their propaganda, despite the country's Malay rulers calling on politicians to stop stoking hatred in a multi-religious and multi-ethnic country.
Those new voters, they are blank, you know. So when you fill up with fitnah saying that if Pakatan Harapan wins, then girls can marry with girls and men can marry with men.
Tsunami fitnah, iaitu jika tak sokong PAS, tak masuk syurga. Bagi orang penduduk kampung, bab syurga neraka, mendatangkan impact.
Over 200,000 youths will be voting for the first time in this state poll, comprising about 20% of the electorate.
Now, apart from countering the opposition's narratives, analysts say how well Mr. Anwar's unity government performs in the coming state election in Penang will largely depend on candidates' election and how well Pakatan Harapan and Perikatan Nasional coalitions that have been sworn enemies for decades work on the ground to convince voter support.
And that is no mean feat. Some UMNO supporters who are against working with PH, in particular Democratic Action Party, that's been perceived as anti-Malay and Islam, may just boycott the election.
You can say that 60 years the AP MBM fight. So it's just a 6 months only. So of course we need time lah. That's why we need to convince Malay voter to look at the big picture now.
Already, the opposition is counting on swing votes from UMNO supporters in at least 15 Malay majority seats. But most political analysts believe that PH will continue to govern Penang, although they're not sure it will retain the two-thirds majority.
There's only one of Anwar, so I think the challenge here, it appears like he's trying to do everything by himself. What does Malaysia Madani means? I think many people still don't get that, right? And there's still that disconnect. And I think that cannot be resolved before the state elections.
And Mr. Anwar wants the 3 state seats in Perikatan Nasional to be contested by his party, PKR. Analysts say failure to defend them may be an embarrassment for him and his administration. Melissa Goh, CNA, Perikatan Nasional, Malaysia.